Housekeeping, I presume?
007 First Light is pretty upfront about being the first act in a bigger story, and the game sets a lot in motion that's easy to miss if you aren't looking for it. There are loose threads that point to what may be coming in the newly announced Bawma DLC and a potential sequel, so in this video I want to pull at those threads and see what we find. And a big shout out to IO Interactive for sponsoring this video. They've made a great game here, with an 89 on OpenCritic, 90% on Steam, 88 on Metacritic. It's the best reviewed Bond game since GoldenEye on N64, which is pretty impressive for a licensed game. If you haven't played it yet and care about spoilers, you may want to save this for later because there's going to be a lot of those.
Hold on.
So first let's talk about the DLC that was announced. The setup is that Bawma has contacted MI6 and promised them something valuable in exchange for their help, specifically requesting James Bond. The trailer has sort of a sinister vibe, with Bawma doing a little evil laugh at the end of it. It's not exactly the laugh of a man asking for help, and there's a reason for that. See, when Bond and Greenway are dangling above the pit of crocodiles, Greenway wins over Bawma with a single word.
Think faster.
Harmony.
Harmony is Bawma's sister, who has been missing for many years. Greenway claims that MI6 knows her location, and he'll hand it over in exchange for their lives. However, there's one little detail that Greenway left out, and it complicates things. If you go into the tax sim after this mission, you can overhear this conversation.
Apparently, a mutiny took place with some of the child soldiers rising up to slaughter their captors. Harmony was trapped in a burning building and perished in the flames. Of course, this last detail was left out of the report that Greenway offered to Bawma in LF. No reason to crush his hopes, eh?
That's right, Harmony is apparently already dead. So Bawma has been cooperating with MI6 on the basis of a lie. Either Greenway knew that and used it anyway, or Thea compromised MI6 intelligence so badly that he just didn't know. And neither option really reflects too well on MI6. So when Bawma requests James specifically for help, it could be that he's actually seeking revenge and luring him into a trap.
That if this is an attempt at deceiving me, I will erase your entire bloodline.
We know where she is.
One other thing about the trailer, in that scene with Bawma, if you look very closely, you can see there's some Arabic writing engraved on the bullet he's holding. Unfortunately, I don't know Arabic, but if you do, I'd love if you drop a comment if you can make out what it says. And Bawma isn't the only complication waiting for Bond in LF. Nini, Bawma's personal bodyguard, isn't exactly thrilled that Bond's alive. Bawma gifted her his Land Rover and then took it straight back when he decided to let him live. He even warns you to check for scorpions for getting back in, since she has a fondness for them. Sounds like a pretty good Bond villain, honestly. Speaking of what's coming, the Bawma mission is just one part of what's been announced for the game. There's more tax sim missions being added, which felt sorely needed. The tax sim was fun, but a little bit light on content. I always loved this kind of stuff since the VR missions of Metal Gear Solid back on PS1, so I'm pretty excited to see what they do with it. There's also a New Game Plus mode, which will give the game a lot more replayability. I'm thinking for more of a stealth run next time, since I tended to just go in guns blazing for every encounter. Then there's also a photo mode, which I love that's becoming more popular in games these days. You can use a free cam mod if you're on PC, but they can be kinda clunky, and a dedicated photo mode tends to work way better. Personally, I'd want to use it to get some shots from the environments in the Vietnam mission. Alright, now let's talk about the really exciting stuff, where this is all going for a potential sequel. The end of the game has Bond standing over Greenway's grave, and M tells him she wants him to go after an unknown organization working from the shadows, one that's likely been operating underneath the narrative from the very beginning. The same organization that Isola works for, which could very well be Spectre. Spectre is a global criminal organization that served as Bond's primary antagonist across the early films and in Ian Fleming's novels. It disappeared from the official Bond films for over 40 years due to a legal dispute, but then it came back in the 2015 Spectre film to pretty mixed reactions, largely because that version got tangled up in Bond's personal backstory in ways that really changed the original concept and retconned several movies. The beauty though is that since IOI is creating an original story here, they're not bound by any of that, and they have the opportunity to take Spectre in a completely different direction. So what in this game actually points towards Spectre? Well, a lot. The way they seem to operate mirrors what 007 lore has already established about them. They're incredibly secretive and go through great lengths to stay off the radar. We see this in the way Isla obscures her identity, and especially when she's captured by MI6 and appears to be extremely well trained to reveal absolutely nothing when she's questioned. They're also quick to sever ties and punish failure. When Bond destroys the Hyperion core, the submarine waiting for Isla disappears immediately, leaving her to get captured. And that submarine is also Japanese, which is very telling since Spectre's lair in an early film is located in, well, Japan. Then during the final fight with Damien, he reveals that he has a buyer for the Thea core.
One in particular stands out. A private investor who offers to double any rival bid and sweeten the deal by delivering my father's killer. Apparently, Isla failed them one too many times.
They're also the reason that Isla kills Nicholas Webb, likely to stop him from coming after them, but also to create issues for MI6. Because his dead man's switch means every secret he had on MI6 leaks to the public the moment he dies, which feels like a very Spectre MO thing to do. And in a cheeky little wink-wink moment, IOI made the trophy for beating the second-to-last chapter of the game, The Writings on the Wall, which feels like a direct call-out saying like, hey, did you notice all this stuff, all the clues, Spectre? Interestingly, when Noemi Nakai, the voice actor for Isla, has been asked the Spectre question directly, she deflects it, saying, Spectre? Who's Spectre? Never heard of him, is my official answer. Of course she's not going to answer a direct question like that, but with all the other things pointing towards Spectre, I feel like her response all but confirms it. It's genuinely exciting and I'm eager to see what they do with it, whether they create a Spectre that's true to the original or go in a completely different direction all their own. So what other loose ends are there? Well, there's the remaining 00 recruits. Cressida has seemingly left MI6 entirely after the incident that left her bound to a wheelchair. However, it's confirmed later that she's expected to recover and will walk again, so I do expect we'd see her in a sequel. They spent too long developing her character to just let her fade away. Whether she comes back as an ally or antagonist is kind of hard to say. It's possible she could be swayed to her father's line of thinking, that it's M's fault she was hurt to begin with, and that the 00 program shouldn't exist. I hope not, since I really liked her as a Bond ally, but time will tell. The more likely recruit to turn antagonist is probably Nash. He's the 00 recruit that not only disappeared after the incident in Slovakia, but did it so thoroughly that not even MI6 has been able to track him down. Clearly Nash, or whoever took Nash, doesn't want to be found, so it's totally possible he harbors a grudge against MI6, and maybe we'd even see him return as an agent of Spectre. And that about wraps it up for this video. If you haven't played 007 First Light, I definitely recommend checking it out if you're a Bond fan or just a fan of third-person action games in general. It's a really well-made, cinematic, overall just fun game. If you like this video, a like and a comment go a long way to helping me out, and consider subscribing and turning on notifications if you want to see more like this. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.